It's my vagina description.
Eve, move a little forward. Move a little forward. Here, Susan. Here. Move this way. Move that way for camera's sake. Move that way.
Move to this chair?
No, stay on that chair, but just move that way. Like roll over a little bit. There you go. All right. And ladies, get close to your microphone. Yes. Get close to your microphone. And Eve, you're gonna.
Welcome to Speak Sex. My flesh is my terrible and terrifying burden. That was the last moment. So thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me as your sex whisperer on Jolt Radio. I am Eve Eurydice. I'm a writer and artist from Lesbos, and I am here on my birthday with my favorite girlfriends, my favorite women in Miami. So we're gonna do something different today. We're gonna answer questions and questions about sex that I've been receiving from audience and listeners in emails, in messages, Facebook messages, texts, Instagram questions. So I tried to type a number of them. I know that I didn't get to them all, and we're just gonna see how it goes. I want to hear everyone's answer and everyone's opinion about these questions from our fellow girls and boys out there in Miami. So I'm going to begin by saying that, the purpose for this podcast, for Speaking Sex, is to let us all find ease and fluency about matters of the body, matters of pleasure, matters of joy. So by hearing others talk about it, we realize that it's okay. It's just simple, and it's allowed, and there is no judgment, and it's just another vocabulary. It's like learning how to speak French. You learn another language, and it's the language of sex, and you learn how to call the genitals by their names, and the sexual acts by their names, and your desires by your names, and negotiating with your partners or your future partners without even thinking about it, without worrying about what the other person will think, or what your great aunt might have thought, or what your priest will think. And by doing that, you're just spreading the good sexual will. So, ideally, everyone will, have a happier, more conscious, more evolved sexual life, and be able to just name what they like and what they don't like, and name their consent without even thinking about it, without consequences. So, who wants to start?
I'll start. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, so this listener says, I heard your show with a vagina whisperer. I'm a woman with a vagina. The guest almost convinced me that his genital nips and tucks were meant to empower women, while he proposed that his vagina tightening surgery is a remedy for women who want better orgasms. I think that men benefit, pleasure-wise, from tighter vaginas. If a woman feels that her vagina is too loose, isn't it better to find something bigger to fill it?
And younger? And more engorged?
Or, I don't know, beyond
Yes.
pelvic...
Just yes, we can stop.
Beyond pelvic crunches, can we do something, which I think she means PC, PV, PC?
The Kegel
Kegels,
exercises.
yeah, Kegels. Can we do something to naturally tighten? Also, is there any truth that we feel better orgasms if we are tighter, which is what he's proposing?
Ladies, what do you think?
Here's what I think. Hey, this is Star, and happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
I think it's interesting that it's a man that wants to do the surgery for women to tighten their vaginas. I'm 60. I haven't had a problem with that. Nobody's told me I'm too loose.
Good for you.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. But
You're either getting penetrated by really big men, or you're very good at doing your Kegels.
I don't know. It just hasn't. It's never come up as an issue. No one has said to me, "This isn't working. You're too loose," or "I'm not feeling anything."
God forbid.
Oh, God.
But I do think it's a very male-centric solution.
For sure.
And, you know, I agree with her. I think it's like slightly disturbing. It's like, no. I mean, if you want to do it for yourself, if it's something that you want, but I don't know if that's really what creates the orgasm to begin with, is how tight your vagina is. I think it's...
No, not the female orgasm.
Right, of course not. So that was the
he was
question.
wrong.
Yeah. I think the female orgasm is specifically the clit, the G-spot. I mean, it's like specific spots that have to be stimulated to orgasm. And the size of the penis doesn't matter. I mean, it's good to have the right fit. Like, you don't want him to be too big or too small.
Right.
Too big hurts, too small, just you don't feel anything. You know,
Right.
you need that friction. But I think that that's true no matter what your size, your vaginal, width. So I agree. I don't think that, the tightness of the muscles is what makes us come or ejaculate, whatever we do as women. I think it just makes it better for the man, because it's like becomes more like a mouth. There's more suction for them.
So did you challenge him at all when he was here? Did you?
No,
Did
I
you
didn't.
say anything?
He was so proud of himself, and he was so he was, and I thought, I mean, it was actually much more women positive than I expected. So, I think almost all of his clients are women. They may go with their husbands, but it's the women he works on, and he does want them to understand their sexuality, and a lot of them don't even know what the clit is, and he teaches them how to find it and how to pull down the hood. I mean anatomy 101. So I think that because it covers the spectrum, of women's sexual education and how much exposure to your own body you've had.
So did you have a look at that TED Talk I sent you about the artist?
I didn't, but tell us about it.
Okay, so this was actually back in 2012, and I will have to look up her name, which I'll do in a minute to give her credit. But she does this thing called clitoracy. And her whole, and I think I sent it to you and a few of my other girlfriends and my daughter, but she and I, at my age, did not know what the clitoris looks like. I mean, I know what I see on the outside, and I thought that was it, but she said the clitoris is the tip of the iceberg, and that underneath is 2/3 of the organ that is the clitoris. And so
the clitoris is exactly like a penis. So
well, but to see the diagram of it, it's quite interesting. It's very beautiful. And so she's made all these art installations based on the clitoris, and she has these funny little glasses that she gives people to look on. So anyway, it's a lovely podcast. I'll look it up now because I want to give her credit for it. And so my daughter and I are trying to figure out a tattoo to get together, and her artist rendering of the clitoris I thought was so fabulous. I was like, let's get a clitoris. Of course, she thinks that's absurd. She's like, Mom, you could just get a bladder tattooed on you. She's much more hip than I am about sexuality. She's like, what's the big deal?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the clitoris, it's like, the clitoris is the top, or maybe the bottom, it doesn't matter, and then it connects all the way to the G-spot. So it's all a continuum, and that's what gives us our orgasms. So if you trace it, it's phallic, and that's the anatomy of pleasure.
That's why doctors are able to construct, when they do gender changes, they're able to create a penis out of a clitoris and vice versa.
Oh, that's super interesting. Okay,
right,
I just
exactly.
found her name.
Do we know more about that?
Sophia Wallace is her name,
right.
The artist.
Yeah.
Sophia Wallace.
Yeah, thank you.
So something that you just said surprised me. You're saying that we don't get the orgasm from the lining, that it's just there are particular spots. I didn't know that.
Well, it is. I mean, the lining, we can't access each spot as if it's apart from the other spots. But yeah, we each have like the sensitive spot, right, where the nerves are all concentrated. And that's our orgasm trigger. So, and usually it's the head of the clitoris and the head, let's call it, of the G-spot. And then, however, every woman's sexual anatomy is different slightly. Right. It's like your fingerprint. It's not identical, so you have to learn those spots, like you learn your fingers and how they work. With your fingers, I think, ideally.
For some people, they have like anal.
Yeah, many people
turned on.
Yeah, many people come or orgasm anally much more fluently, than others. And again, it's about proximity, really like how your body is built. And so when a fist or a finger goes into your ass, what it touches. If it touches your G-spot, then that
the
makes
other
you,
side.
Exactly, from the other side, and that makes you come much more, easily than if it doesn't. And part of the fun is finding the positions that make these things happen. If you have a partner, and if you start with yourself and with a nice, high quality silicone dildo that you invest in, that is, beautiful and clean, and you learn how it all works and try the different positions, and have fun by yourself with the mirror in your bedroom, in your bathroom. Then it becomes more easier with your partner, your existing or your next partner.
So there's no G-spot inside the anus. It's
on the other. It's
on the other side.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The G-spot is actually like under the front wall. Let's say the front of the body, below the belly button. So it's from the clitoris. It goes upward, more or less where the mons venus. That area that we call the mons venus, which is like a little hillock. Yeah, more or less right below that.
So there really is no truth to his claim that a tighter vagina creates more pleasure for a woman.
I don't think so. John, what do you think?
No,
Who gets the pleasure out of the tight pussy?
Well,
let's ask the man in the room.
Yeah. Carlos, what do you think?
Who gets the pleasure for what?
When a girl is tight, is it better for her or for the guy?
I think both. Why not?
Oh, he thinks both.
Right?
Well, he can't speak for the woman, but is it better for a man?
Oh,
I would say so, yeah.
I mean, it's
the
the suction.
Right, yeah, exactly. Or when, contractions and all that stuff, it's pretty interesting. I mean, if you know your partner well enough, I'm sure you can definitely feel it.
Feel their pleasure, right?
If you're into it just to get just to like sexually get off.
To ejaculate.
That's probably just, you're not really into it, but you're just kind of being pretty egotistic, and that's the majority of people. So, I mean, when you're not in a relationship or whatnot, in my opinion, but yeah, I think...
Well, not our listeners.
Not anymore.
We're all very conscious sexual.
Yeah.
They've been awoken.
Women do Kegels?
Kegels. Well, it's not about Kegels. It's about actually getting, whether it's worth nipping and tucking, the vagina, just to get it tighter. And who is it tighter for? The girls or the boys?
I mean, to me, it's obvious that it's sort of this genital mutilation that is occurring, and he's sort of like red herring it and disguising it, and his shtick is that it's for women's pleasure. It's kind of genius. But
well, I think it's almost like a woman that wants to have bigger boobs, for example. It's a society construct, I guess, because they'll be accepted. They like the fact that big boobs are a thing, or a big booty or something like that. In my opinion, I think maybe vaginal reconstruction could be positive in the sense of like, if there's all kinds of vaginas, right? Like, and like, maybe somebody can be a little self-conscious about it. They
are.
There's a ton of examples, I think, for that, but also aesthetics is something that people are into, and they'll pay a ton of money for it. I don't understand a boob job. If that's what they gave you, that's what you got. I mean, that's me. Then again, there's very superficial people, and that's the way that
actually, a lot of it is also porn, because porn is so, instantly available now. Mm-hmm. And
but it's
so
like,
everyone in porn is shaved and has like no labia.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, that
like wait. Why are they all like this flat vaginas?
Because they're 18 and 16.
It's the standard. Well, it's the standard. It's like if they put out.
Cool anymore?
Well, I mean, if they put out videos that have like like something.
Was there ever the era of the labia? I missed that one.
I know, the big lips.
I think I missed that memo.
The big lips era.
It's also what sells, It's like why does Victoria's Secret have these beautiful models? Because it sells, I think
also they
sex
all.
Also sells.
Can I say something? I mean, yes, they are hot, absolutely. Especially in like that annual, underwear show that they do. I forget what it's called. Super hot, but like not angels, but like not sexual. Like you wanna. Like when I see them, I wanna masturbate. I wanna play with myself, but I have like no interest in like going down on them, the way that I might with like a woman who I would think would be like electrifying, So they are desexualized. They are, they're super arousing, but their own sexuality is not present, right? Mm-hmm. And it feels like that's the same thing
like
with
like
the porn vagina. Mm-hmm. It's super arousing to look at
visually,
and you wanna like immediately do something sexual. But I don't know that necessarily in real life, having like these tiny, non-invisible, shaven, vaginas. They look like sad mouths. I mean, it just doesn't seem like the same.
Oh my God, I love you. I just love you.
Yeah.
But I think there's also
like the infantile.
There's also
the all alike. Yeah, yeah, underage vagina. Exactly.
Right. There's also that like the perfect porn. That. A lot of people also want to emulate, it's like, let me get a guy with a 6-pack and he's 6'5", and and there's that set kind of paradigm for what
that
sells
paradigm of like
versus
the big,
like, well, I mean, this is a normal relationship. But then again, it's almost like going into people that follow, let's say, Kim Kardashian and think that she lives a life of glamour. She cries. She farts.
Oh, no, we see her cry.
But
we
people
don't see her fart. But we do see her
you know what I mean?
cry.
So, but people glamorize that, and that's the way they want to live. And it's like, well, I need to have a Bentley. I need to have a humongous house. And there's different situations in life, I think.
Don't you find that to be kind of a very young perspective?
Correct.
Or a Miami perspective.
Maybe Miami.
Very.
I have friends who are not
big city perspective.
Maybe big city
I want to
where
say
you have so many options.
Not only here, New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago.
30 and under thinking.
No. I have friends, women friends, who are like in their 40s. I don't know if any has
chasing
got
that
to 50
Kardashian
yet,
dream.
but they are chasing, yes, and also they're chasing the big dick. And they do not like, to them it's not important. Because
their vaginas are too loose.
No.
Hot dog down the staircase.
They would be devastated.
They deserve the big dick.
Right. Okay. They would be devastated if they made that connection, but they don't. But the thing is, these are women who don't, they don't like to be eaten out. They say, oh, that doesn't interest me. That I don't do that. I don't like that. Or, it's very much like boy on girl, hardcore, pumping, almost athletic, sex.
Well, there is something to be said for that.
I mean, it's also, I think, like an age thing. I guess the more there's so many factors I think in it that come into play, in my opinion, about sex and how you guide yourself or what your standards are or what you're going through. Also how you grew up, what happened to you. You know,
Yes,
there's
yes,
so
yes,
much
yes.
stuff that
Right.
comes into play, and not unfortunately or fortunately, but each one has a story to tell.
Right.
You know, I mean, maybe some of us were fortunate not to be touched when we were young, you know, by who knows who,
Right.
but there
Some
are people out
predator.
there that did,
Yeah.
like, that happened to them.
And
So
it's just a, you
it's
know,
a blockage, you
right,
know.
it's a blockage.
Also, how you're designed too. Like, maybe what about if your uterus is not in the right place and maybe it has a strange little turn or something?
Oh,
You know, that all comes to play in
Oh,
my
absolutely. That's why you have to like try different partners. Like for example, to me, when a man hangs just a certain way to the side instead of straight, it's so much better. And you know, I mean, I don't know that until I see them, you know, hard, and I see the exact angle that I've learned through practice.
And you're like, oh,
And I'm like,
goody!
oh, hallelujah! And I really don't care about the rest. You know, the rest can be worked on, educated. You know, you can, but that, as you said, like the anatomy, it just works anatomically with what I was born with. You know, and the same thing, like I remember I was insanely in love. It was like the first love of my life. I was so crazy about this guy. He was probably the best looking boy on campus, and I was so proud of myself that I got him. And I was like parading him, and he was like 6 feet something, like a god, like, you know, Paul Newman
Adonis.
god. Yes, Adonis, 100%. And then he had this huge schlock that was like honestly down to his, I don't know, thigh, knee. I remember it as knee, but it was probably mid thigh.
opinion. Were you dating a horse?
and the thing is, for the life of God, it hurt.
You're
And
tiny.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm tiny. And then I kept telling myself, no, you know, I'm going to get used to it.
No.
No. I mean, I ended a great relationship, you know, and we're good friends. And I ended it because it just hurt.
And
you know,
also a
anatomically,
blowjob,
it
you'd
was too long.
probably choke.
Oh, I
Oh
never
my
got to
God.
the
Right.
the end of it. Like,
Right.
I mean, I would have had to go to my stomach. It was just the, you know, measurements. The measurements didn't go.
It was a scale problem.
Yeah, this exactly.
So
but
speaking,
I also want to say that in general, you know, like when the sex is not goal oriented, especially for the guy, and when it lasts longer,
That's
it's
the
better.
best. It's the
Right?
best.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the best when it's not about the result.
end.
It's about the process. It's
Right.
about just having fun, playing, enjoying, like have it last.
Yeah, have it
Love
last as
that.
long as you can.
Isn't that's tantric or some other?
I think so. I mean, we had someone before who claims, you know, she's a tantra teacher, but other types of tantra practices, and I think that's one of them. Just sustain, you know, use breath to sustain and extend the sex as long as possible.
Can I go back to Dr.
Yes.
Whisperer for a
Yes,
second?
please. Yes.
Because I heard he does other things besides a full-on surgery, and one of them sounded slightly interesting to me, though painful, and that was that he puts fillers around the G-spot to push
Yes,
it
he
out
does.
more.
Yeah, he told us about that. And he
So-
also does PRP for in the same way that he does either the fillers or the PRP. So the same, just instead of getting the facial, you get like a vaginal facial,
Right.
and it stimulates your G-spot, so you orgasm more. Yeah, that seems less invasive. I would be
And more
that.
for the woman.
Yeah.
I think that is
Totally for the
definitely,
woman.
yeah.
that sounds very
That's
female
not going to
positive.
do anything
Yeah.
for the guy.
So he injects like Restylane.
Well, I don't know. He said injectables or the PRP, which is your own blood, you know, spun. So, and I did think that of the range of procedures, the PRP was the one that I took.
That sounds
Would
painful too, though.
Yeah,
There's a lot of little injections for PRP.
yeah.
Well, speaking of something that's
And the calories.
could be painful, but it's for probably your partner's pleasure. Another listener wants to know, Eve, do you think it's feminist to bleach your asshole?
I want that explained to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So do I.
She's right. It's a totally legitimate question. And I don't think it's feminist.
Thank you. I'm like, why would we be bleaching our asshole?
To make it more pornographically pretty.
It goes along with the no lips.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
No lips.
Which I don't
And
understand
an
either.
invisible asshole.
Yeah, it's trying to make the
Then
the
get
pussy
the damn
disappear.
sex doll.
Yeah.
You know, just do the rubber. I mean,
Yeah, well, this is honestly, but this is like a 21st century thing. Like in the 20th century, I feel it was okay to have pubic hair and other hair, and now, like this generation, it's all gone. It's like the Brazilian, the Brazilian takeover of female aesthetics, sexual aesthetics at least.
We need to bring
everything
back
is shaved
70s porn.
or waxed or lasered out completely. We can, if you want to.
If I have 18-year-olds are going completely bare.
Completely bare. Before
Bare.
anyone has had an opportunity to even look at their genitals, they're completely barren.
Before they grow all their pubic hair,
yeah,
they're
gone.
they're completely like waxing
Bald.
or lasering.
Lasering, yeah.
Have you guys
Bald.
found, like, I've found the Europeans really love hair, right? But the Americans not so much, like down here. I'm finding a real difference. And I don't know if anyone else has. Like, I've just been curious. I haven't spoken to any of my girlfriends about it, but some guys are really loving it. The older men seem to really be loving hair.
Yeah. Well, it used to be a fetish, like
it's
the
what
big
they're
bush.
used to.
Yeah.
It's what they started with.
Yeah, right? So
Well, also
maybe that's
European
why.
women don't take the same measures that American women
No.
do to preserve themselves. So the European man is more accustomed to a natural beauty.
To aging, an aging sexual partner.
Mm-hmm.
And wrinkles
Right.
and all of that is still as a turn on.
Right.
Right, because they're more kind of more attuned to the sexual energy rather than the look, the appearance, right?
So, again, talking about porn and how we can look for new models, one of your listeners asks, I'm looking for sex-positive porn. Would you please recommend viewing material, websites, movies? Has anyone found anything that is
Wow.
something that is positive for women, but not necessarily lesbian sex? But is there any?
Actually, we started
heterosex?
today's program. I had an interview with this woman, Caroline, who works with Dan Savage on Hump. So we began at 2 p.m. with her, and that's like the perfect example. So Hump is going to be showing at O Cinema here in Miami, in Wynwood.
Is it it's a movie?
It's an annual festival of porn, but it's porn by real people and artists. So they're shorts.
Oh, we need to go.
Yeah. Oh,
I know,
I'm
it sounds
going.
really
We're
good.
going.
Will you take
Because I haven't
Yeah,
found
yeah.
anything.
Sunday.
Oh,
It's
is
like
it
going to
Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday, 7 or
Isn't it? Yeah,
9:15.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
just those 2 days?
Well, I
3
think there's
days.
something today. too,
Friday,
right?
Saturday, Sunday,
Right.
and then I just checked it. 7
Yeah.
and 9:15,
Yeah,
so 2
7 and
showings.
9:15, yeah. So, but anyway, what it is, it's they're shorts, short films, and you have real bodies. They, some of them are lesbians only, some of them are gays only, some are straight, of course. So you get to see like the eroticism of all kinds of real people, and but they are artistic people because they are capable of making short films that get accepted. There is a committee, and everyone submits
Right.
their short, and then the committee decides and puts them together and edits them into an hour-long movie. And that's what the reason for it. Dan Savage is the columnist forever and ever, sex advice columnist. So that was the idea. Let's kind of get away from the cliche porn and into what turns real people on. So that's like an example. That's here.
Is it
tomorrow.
considered porn? Are they selling
Yeah.
it as porn?
Yeah.
Or as art?
No, they know it's porn.
Okay.
They call it porn. They don't
Okay.
call it art.
Okay.
So do you know if it'll live on beyond this weekend? Will it like
Well, it
have
comes
a place
every
on the
year.
internet? No, I mean that this particular hour
I have
long
to
will
find
it be
out. Yeah,
That's
I'm
what
not
I
sure.
think.
You would think
Yeah, we would
Netflix
have
would
to-
pick it up or
I
something.
don't know.
Right?
the blue version of
Yeah.
Netflix.
Night version.
But they
Night
did say
version.
that they got, for the first year, they got kicked off Facebook, so they can no longer advertise on Facebook. So they're now, they're kind of like worried for their own existence, because that's mostly how people would know when they would be in town, right?
Right.
So it's interesting that censorship and Puritanism, is reigning in big tech.
Wow.
So they were supposed
That's
to be
the only
our
thing they
friends,
censor.
and
Yeah,
now,
morals are completely
Right.
gone.
Right.
The irony.
Yeah, they will allow any violence, but not the nipple.
It's insane, right?
Yeah, not the female nipple.
No, not
Yeah,
the
the
female.
boy nipple is totally fine.
Probably no invisible buttholes in the
Yeah.
1 hour movie.
No, we're gonna have the pubes, I think. We're not gonna have the bleached
Pubes and the shadowy anus.
Yeah, the shadowy. The anus is always shadowy. That's its job.
I
It's
can't
the
even.
shadow shelf.
I can't even think. I am so afraid of all of that stuff because I'm so far away from it. Like with my hair and with my non-bleaching. Do you know what I mean? That I'm petrified of what the girls probably look like around me. Do you know what I mean? Like that
No.
I just look
I
like
don't know what you mean.
beastly. It's saturated into me, that version of beauty down here, which is it's like a conundrum in my brain.
Oh,
That
okay.
I'm
So
constantly-
So you're worried about what the guys think
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they
yeah.
see you, and you're
Yes,
and
because
you're
I'm so not that.
We don't want to
So
compete
you're
against the
saying-
bleached asshole.
Down
the
here,
Miami
yes, I
Beach
don't want
girls.
it. That's
Okay.
perfectly said. I do not want to compete against the beautiful rosebud assholes.
Rosebud.
I am so terrified of
Citizen
that.
Kane.
I'm just not.
If they see you and they don't like it, he's
Rosebud.
not for you.
Yeah.
You're like, next.
Oh my God! Let's face it.
Should that be part of the Bumble profile?
Yes, I think so.
Have full bush.
Yeah.
Must enjoy full bush.
Really,
A natural asshole.
I think it might be. Let's just get that on the table.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Let's not waste
Yeah.
any time here, guys.
Because I'm
Yeah.
not going there. They're not going to be.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it.
But it's also,
I love
a
that.
lot of it.
It's
I think
beautiful.
there is a degree of performance sexuality here in Miami. So I think that, it would be amazing to have women who do not sexually perform. But I think that part of turning yourself into something that men enjoy, rather you enjoy, right, is doing things that will turn your partner on, even though they're not actually happening to you. So you have the shaved and the waxed and the bleached and
The
all that
stilettos.
stuff, and the stilettos, exactly, and the whatever enhancements. But also you have to make the noises at the right time, and you have to wiggle your
Oh.
ass at the right time to
Oh.
think. Know how it turns you
Getting
on.
so depressed.
You are thinking when you're wiggling your ass, thinking how he sees it and how it makes him feel.
Right, let me position
But you're
myself
not
in the
even
right
feeling. You can't feel your own feeling when you're so busy trying
Thinking.
to figure out. Yeah,
just thinking.
right. Thinking. Yeah, thinking what he likes and what makes him come.
Why are you pointing behind you?
Because usually if you're shaking the butt, they're behind you. But there's also Carlos. But.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking the trick is to maybe just or insist that the lights are off. So they're really forced to have an intimacy with you in your body, and it can't
Right.
be a show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you take away the visual, I'm working on it, girls.
Yeah.
I'm trying to-
No, that
Sorry,
is
the
what-
lights are broken in my bedroom.
you must.
Welcome to my cave.
My lair. A bushy, furry world, a dark, dark space.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing for a lot of men. Are you kidding? I say do you. And you
Because I
don't
can really create
don't
that
call
space.
it beastly. Call it natural. I am a natural woman.
natural.
Yeah,
it doesn't have
exactly.
to be beastly.
Exactly.
No, it's not beastly at all. It's beautiful. It's who
Yeah.
you are.
That's how you came.
Yeah.
Well, it's how she grew up to be.
Well, as opposed to recreating yourself into some other
Right.
thing.
Oh,
with no
right,
hair and a white butt
I
and
know.
bigger
By the way, the
boobs
young
and-
girls
for
are
the
full
guy,
bushes.
for only the guy.
Really?
Yes, my daughter is
Oh,
24.
good for her. They're
No,
starting to
they're
embrace
all, their hair here, hair everywhere. They're just full bush
I
babies.
still think she's exceptional. And she
Yeah.
lives in London, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
So
yes.
she's not a Miami.
She's
Beach
got that
girl.
continental,
Yeah.
That
She's
doesn't
a
just
New York,
continental.
New York, England girl.
Yeah, there you go.
Soon back to New York.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Well, kind of going back to that, I mean, we are able to accept other maneuvers to improve our beauty and claim that as feminists, right? Like the padded shoulder pads from the 80s, and even makeup is sold now as a sort of tool of empowerment. So, can the bleached asshole become sort of like, can it also be included and absorbed into a feminist dialogue?
I'm sorry but I just met a woman who, I think the answer is yes, because I met a woman while I was away recently who had her breasts taken out because of breast cancer. And I had spoken about how the person seated next to me was the guy who invented breast implants, of all things. And how when I was speaking to him, I was really happy to find out that he hadn't, I had this prejudice towards him, thinking, what kind of guy would invent breast implants, And I was very relieved to find out that he had made the material that held the breast implants in place.
And he had no idea what he was inventing.
No, he didn't know that was going to be, and it was a good thing, but it was my own prejudice. And I said this to this lady, and she said, well, my boobs have been, and it's to me, I am so grateful for that. Some breast women are just bringing them back to whole, right?
So she had a double mastectomy, and then she had to have
and then she said
reconstruction surgery.
Right, and so I was very thanks for explaining it. And I was really glad that she showed me that side of it, but then she took it one step further and said, look, these are my breasts. And she had tattooed on these wonderful mandalas on her nipples, and she looked like a fighting warrior, sexy goddess. Like, I've never seen anything like it. The power and
fake nipples. She had the tattoo done.
Yeah, that of mandalas that she had designed.
That's so beautiful.
And it just made me think.
What color?
I think we could take our assholes back then, right? Like,
well, what color? What color were the mandalas?
Well, they were mostly black and white, and she hadn't wanted any. But right in the center, the tattoo person who was Slash's tattoo, I don't know, but I know some people will know. She had said that she wanted to just put a little bit of a hint of color, and so she put just like a blush, and so it's not. It doesn't look like a nipple, but it's just a blush, and it gives it depth.
I want to do that. I want to do that over my nipple.
And I just thought, wow, warrior energy.
Can I ask a question? We're talking about what women can do, and the surgeries for women to do, and women, and shaving, and bleaching, and boobs. What in the fuck are the men doing?
Manscaping.
No, I mean, okay, that's like hardly touching the surface. I mean,
I'm very appreciative of that, though.
I know, of course, we all are, but I'm saying,
yeah, we are
I
appreciative.
don't know. I see a lot of like bellies and and you know, there's not a whole lot of attention paid to men's grooming, and they don't
double standard.
Yes, they don't even think about well, except for my ex-boyfriend. He was very good at his personal grooming, and I much appreciated that. You know, if you're going to visit somebody and you know you're going to have sex, it's nice to have a little bath before you go.
Take a shower.
And floss those damn teeth, you know? I mean,
absolutely.
Listen, y'all laugh, but I'm saying I have seen a lot of
I'm just thinking,
happening.
oh my God, it gets worse. I'm just gasping.
No, I
like,
agree.
I'm waiting.
That should be like washing your hands.
No, but
But can I say something though from the point of view of men, which I have, long thought how unfair it is for the men too. Why don't the men get to be the sex object? Why don't the men get to think, if I turn my ass just so, she's gonna come? Why don't the men think, if I just make a sound, it's going to turn her on so much because my pleasure turns her on.
Maybe
if
the
I
woke man does.
Right, I think that they do, I think that that's up to us, that we have to encourage them
and pick
to, but also like turn them into the sex object. Allow them that space where they will be like desired and worshipped and turned into like the goddess for the time of the sex, right? So they get to bleach their assholes if they want and be like, oh,
no, it would only be if we wanted them to.
Exactly.
If they knew that turned you on.
Which actually would.
Are we taking notes?
So is it the sacrifice? Is it the sacrifice we make that's the turn on, or is it the actual visual then? That's what that brings to mind.
For me, it's the visual.
No, for us it's the visual, but for maybe perhaps for men, even though I hadn't considered that thinking part of them. You know what I mean?
Well,
what they appreciate.
It would make for a better sex life for men if they don't think of themselves as necessarily the doer,
and the role,
or the buyer,
the conductor,
or the
right.
If they don't think that just because they are there with the penis, they have to do all the work, or
the conducting,
with the baton,
or the electrical conductor. I mean, all of it is unfair. And when we see, like, because you mentioned the unkempt male physical body, right? But if the man feels himself as an object of desire, not only he takes care of himself a little more, but also he doesn't think it's natural for him to like go with a girl who's 30 years younger because he's buying her dinner, because he knows that she doesn't desire him for real. So once he understands that the sex gets much better, if he really is wanted, and if he's, for his physical form, for what he brings into the couple, then it makes for better sex for the men too. And they can't find that, with like anybody. They will find it where they really truly want it, for the way they look.
I love that. I think it's such an advanced conversation that I don't know if a lot of men can hear that or would get that, but I love that. Listen.
No, I think you're spot on, and I'm
love dating in Miami, so I'm just saying.
I feel like I'm living that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so nice.
You need to do a little reporting. My friend.
Live from the
like that's nice for me to see sitting across the table from you ladies, that like one's living it, one is very much where I see myself.
One is married.
And, oh my God, right? So it's across the board, right? And it just kind of means that any of those can manifest themselves.
Right, anything's possible.
Which is nice, that it's not all.
And our friend who's living it, she's living it with a younger man, right? What's the age difference?
Are you going to ask me that every time?
Yes,
what is it?
It's new every time, honey.
Yes. I need to know what it can be.
He's 12 years younger.
Oh, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I figured this out a long time.
Where's the line?
14.
14 years younger?
Yeah, I figured this out.
There's a formula. It's like your age
well,
minus.
My
like
formula
I'm
is
so
generation.
impressed because I've never had a relationship with someone 12 years younger. So to me, I
haven't either.
I admire. Yeah, exactly. This is your first one. But
See, but it's okay because you're not old enough to be his mother. Like,
that's my formula.
The generation.
That's
my formula.
formula.
That's probably. So that's
If
why I
you
figured
can be
14
my
is
child.
when Mary had a baby.
No.
Okay, got it. That's a good formula. So 12
That
is the
doesn't
cut-off
work for
point,
my
because like I got my period at 12. So
Yeah, if you're advanced, then you've got to lower the age.
Yeah.
You lose out there.
Yeah, I was out there.
It's miles in road.
18. It's the cutoff.
When
Is it doable?
Oh, you've
Or
given
is it the
yourself
cutoff?
18's the cutoff. At some point,
no,
does it
18-year
change?
difference.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Not
because
18
you could
years
have a
old.
child.
I have a
Reasonably,
boyfriend
you
who lives
could have a
19.
child at
Really
18, so that's...
Right.
Gotcha. Agreed. And there we go.
But he couldn't be my child, so...
No. And it doesn't show. I mean, objectively.
I agree.
I would never think that there is even like a 3-year difference. It just doesn't show. So that's to your advantage. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. But you had faith. You had faith and trust, and you sustained it for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys worked at it. It didn't like get there on the first day.
No,
So-
it did not.
Oh my God! No wonder why you're smiling. How are you finding the sex? Oh my God. That's why you're beaming.
She has great sex. She's very shy, so I'm just gonna say. I
She's
happen
gonna
to
know.
know.
That's that look
She
in that
does
full hair she's got going on.
have a
Right.
confidant.
So what makes it great?
Just I don't know. There's a connection there that I've never really experienced before in my life. That
When you say it's emotional that creates the sexual, or is it the sexual that creates the emotional?
I'm not sure. I think it's
Or those things
everything.
hitting the wall at the same time.
There's
Feed
just
each other.
an energy there that was there from the very first moment that we met because it was a crazy
That spark.
way
You guys
that we
have
met.
had that
Like,
spark.
yes.
They met dancing
really weird
Carlos
story.
at,
Ball and
at
chain.
Ball and Chain.
Oh, and how wonderful! What a wonderful
Salsa
They've
way to
been
dancing.
together ever since. So.
Shout out again, Ball and Chain. We do it every time we come here.
So does it continuously get better?
Yes.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been?
3.5 years.
Seriously, it's improving.
It's improving. I think, a lot of the original stuff that I might have been doing to try to be whatever because I needed to be thinking that he's 12 years younger. I'm not doing anymore.
Theatrics. That
Yeah, and I'm just open to what's happening.
Bleaching her asshole.
And the feeling. Never
Joking,
tried.
babe.
Thank you. I don't know. It's more and more connection, so that energy is just beautiful.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that's every single time, but mostly it's pretty great.
That's
good
wonderful.
for you.
Can we have question number, that one, would you give it?
Yes, there's okay. We have someone who says I'm still guilty about enjoying sex too much. My mother used to say, "Don't enjoy it too much. The devil is listening."
Oh, no.
I'm Catholic and from immigrant Caribbean parents, and you can say it's a tradition to be modest. Most of my friends are also conservative, and we never even discuss sex. Sounds like us. It's like we're not being good Catholic Cubans if we like to fuck.
Ooh, she said fuck though.
Can I get over this? I feel guilty about even asking you this.
Oh
Oh.
my goodness.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
Wow.
please get
Well,
over
she's
it.
taken the first
she's
step.
listened to the show and she can say the F word.
Find different friends is what I would say. Find different friends.
Yeah.
Like reach out to beyond your kind of Afro-Caribbean group and your family and look for people that would have different outlooks.
Hopefully a lover could do that. A lover that
Yeah,
can
but
take the
start
shame
with
away.
start with a girlfriend. Like if you're that filled with shame, you're not going to take a lover right away that will fix that. So
You're
Yeah.
right. It's all my girlfriends that have been like scandalous to me. That have
Oh.
really like
I
And
love
opened-
my
yeah,
girlfriends.
it opened me up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. All of us,
Yeah.
and made me
Talk
understand
about
it and see it.
understand
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It destigmatizes the idea of whatever it is that you're
Right.
struggling with.
Yeah.
You know, you bring it up to your
Yeah.
friends, and somebody else might say, "Oh, this or that," or make
Right.
some contribution in a way that is super meaningful.
Did
Right.
you?
know?
I'm sorry, I
And
don't know
also
your background.
remember-
Did you you just seem to know this stuff? Like, did you study?
I'm just old. I've just
Like
been
a
on the
wise
planet
one.
for a while.
Like,
And also
you really seem to know
remember
what's going
that
on.
When you're sexual, you're not the person your mom knows or the person your family knows or your neighborhood knows or your children know at all. So in order to be fully sexual and blossom sexually, you have to kind of take yourself out of that consciousness when you enter
Right.
sexual space. It's a totally different state of being, and we cannot combine the two, and we're not supposed to.
Right.
And that's okay. When we say we want to have sex in a holistic way, it doesn't mean that it would include our family members. It's actually, that's like the non-aphrodisiac aspect of our life. So, and I think the more we divorce them, that other life, the daily life, the working life,
Even the ego itself.
exactly,
Your own
the
identity.
ego, exactly, all
Yes,
of that. Your
that's
sense
so
of who you
spot on.
are
Yeah.
and what's like you
Or
and
who
what's
you're
unlike
supposed
you.
to be
Right.
versus who you are.
Right, who you're supposed to be, and what makes sense for who you're supposed to be, and all that stuff. When you can let all that go, that's your sexual space, and you're not that same person in that space, and that's wonderful.
It's not so easy to get there, though.
Right. It's a
conscious
practice.
work.
Right. It takes conscious work.
Which is why I love, I'm just going to, and I tell you this every time I talk to you on this podcast, that's why I love what you're doing.
Oh.
I really mean that. I think it's a very powerful thing to make this conversation kind of socially and publicly available. And every time we talk about it, I always leave here going, yes, girl, I'm going to get that, you know? And it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So
thank you.
It's
I feel
a
the
good thing.
same when
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
This is very powerful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question, and then we'll close up.
Okay, this one is from a man. Hi, Eve. I'm a straight man who likes to have anal.
Bleached or unbleached? Sorry, I had to.
When I'm doing it, sometimes I imagine the butt belongs to a guy. I'm attracted to girls with muscular anatomy, so maybe that's part of it. I've never tried anal with a guy, but I enjoy the fantasy while being with a girl. Does this make me queer?
Wow.
Go ahead.
You want to take
here?
that?
Come
Yeah.
here.
Take it. A man's voice.
No, it just reminded me of Michelle.
Oh yeah. We
Michelle
had a guest on the
is,
program
last week who's into BDSM and she loves to peg men.
I heard that.
That's her. She gets off on fucking men in the
So
ass.
he has to find the right partner, and then he
So
can be
it just
straight.
Girl, get it.
He can be straight, and he can also have a girl who fucks him up the ass with her hand or with a dildo or whatever his fancy is. And then, if he wants to take it a step further, he can introduce the concept of group sex and see how that works. I mean,
Or
actually,
try a
Miami,
boy. Maybe he needs to try a boy.
yeah, Miami
Maybe
is
he's holding
actually,
himself
there is
back.
a big swinging, swapping, subculture, which is a safe way again to
Where
be
do you
with
find
your.
that?
They have like monthly events that
Right.
you can Google them and then you
There are
join.
places to go, bars to go.
Yeah,
They're
have
not on Facebook. I would
lots
imagine.
of, but they are on Google. And if you look for
Meetup.
swinging, there are a lot of swinging apps where you can go on vacation. In hotels that are swingers only. So your first exposure to it doesn't even have to be in your hometown
Local.
at all, right? So you won't run into people you know. You can go to like Mexico or the Caribbean islands or Europe, however much, depends on your budget. And then during that long weekend or week, again, depending on how much you've paid, everyone gets to swap. You have to give consent. At least one of the two partners.
There
has to
must be
agree.
really happening parties here in Miami, though.
Oh yeah, they happen once a
There's a
month.
place
And
here.
there's also an
Miami
app.
Velvet? Something Velvet?
Yeah, Velvet Underground or Velvet? No, that's Velvet something. Yeah, there is
This
a
place is
where they
wacky.
do.
They're
You know?
swapping there.
But that I heard that there is swapping and there is also
Where are you from?
Right, groups.
Where are you from, my friend?
Originally, I'm from Cumberland, Rhode Island. And that is what has poured into. I grew up on an apple orchard, so you can imagine the trip I'm seeing down here. It's really.
Are
Something.
you liking it or not liking
Oh
it?
yeah, I mean it's a pageant to be sure, but it's like
best description.
Yeah. So anyway, for those who are interested, I'm going back to my topic. There are apps where you register, and there are different lifestyle apps. You can have the swinger lifestyle or the swapper lifestyle, which differ. You can have the Fet Life lifestyle if you like fetishes of any kind, or if you're into BDSM or power exchange, right? So just go and find those, get on the app, do a password, get an account, do a profile. You don't have to share anything about yourself. You can just look at other people's accounts, look at other couples posting about what they've done. It's like the dating apps, but not quite. So you can see all the profiles and eventually decide whether or not you feel comfortable about, accepting invitations, because 90% of those happen in private places, in people's houses, or people rent a hotel room and they meet and then they separate and that. So I think that it's kind of a safe, inclusive way. You bring your heteronormative partner and then you have sex with, a member of your gender, or however you want to do it. Try it out and see how it feels in real life. But try it out. Convert your partner and try things out. wasn't there a question about cunnilingus and menstruation?
Oh yes. Okay. Eve. Whenever I get my period, I feel more sensitive. Yet my boyfriend finds it repulsive. Is this a point that I should argue, or should I respect his intolerance of my feminine cycle? Of my birth, my life-generating fluid.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, that is age-old taboo, right? And it's interesting. I don't know what you ladies think. I mean, personally, I think that she, needs to try and educate him. But some people have a hard limit. There is like the soft limit, which can be stretched with love and kindness. And then there is the hard limit, which is like, I can't go there. It turns me off. It makes me feel gross. And who knows where that comes from. But I know that like in my culture, women menstruating couldn't receive communion. They couldn't, I think they couldn't go into church, but for sure they couldn't receive
The old bleeding
communion.
hut.
Right.
Everybody goes into the bleeding hut.
So when you're no longer, you see,
Right.
when you're menstruating, you're not fertile. So the ancient thinking behind it is you're menstruating, it means you shouldn't be fucking at all because you can't conceive. So what's your business having sex? Like, stay in the bedroom, go through this period, and then when you have eggs again, come back out and like participate in the world and get locked up.
So what happens after menopause?
So
heaven,
much
ladies,
better.
says the woman who is in postmenopause. Heaven.
Heaven.
No more bleeding.
And they can
They
eat
never
you
get
out
to have
always.
sex again.
Right, 100%. It's like, no problem.
No excuses.
No birth control.
Listen,
nothing.
as a woman who has menstruated for many years in her life, I wouldn't want to kind of have oral sex with somebody who is bleeding. I get that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to imagine them just bleeding from their dicks, and would you want to suck it?
No.
Right? Like, so I get it too.
Maybe put in a Tampax and have oral sex so there's not blood flowing into his face the moment he's having. I mean, I think there are ways to go around it, but I get that. I get him not wanting to do it.
But it's also nice when you come across a guy who
Who
doesn't
loves
care,
it.
right?
And
Like,
all
and-
over his fucking
and-
face.
yeah, and
Right.
that
I don't mean
primal,
to say
like-
fucking,
I know
but-
I did earlier too. I apologize.
I'm
My
always very
F-bomb.
impressed when I come
Yeah.
across that
Yeah,
rare.
the savage aesthetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. I'm always like, wow.
Savage aesthetic.
Yeah, when he comes out and he's like covered in
And he
blood,
really
and
doesn't
it looks
mind
like
it.
he got like
Right.
destroyed by this like toothed vagina thing. You can go into like a
Pulling thorns
sci-fi
out.
fantasy with that
You go to
one.
I'm
Apocalypse
remembering
Now.
that. The savage aesthetic.
Yes, it's like
Well, maybe we need to
it's like
create.
Braveheart, which like I watched Braveheart and I thought, oh my god, this is so hot. Oh my god, the more he got cut up, the more.
God.
It was
Oh, I brought that right home for you.
I don't know. Maybe it is Christian. Who knows?
Maybe the sex positive porn community can create a porn
There you
where
go,
the
a
men are all
category.
bloody faced.
Wow.
You don't see that on Pornhub.
You do
No.
not.
No,
you
you
don't.
don't. And like that's
Yeah.
far more feminine in principle of the
Right, I was
real
going to say
bonding.
that would be on the femme porn site.
The real acceptance,
A
right?
hetero dude porn site.
Yeah.
John,
And like guys saying,
are
"Oh my
you paying
god."
attention?
I'm-
what do you
I'm
think
here.
about oral sex with a woman that's menstruating?
Man, shit.
I'm already
man.
in your court if you say you don't like it. I've already.
Oh, no, good. I don't know. I mean, not my preference, but
Yeah, we hear
but
you.
you know,
That's a definite no.
hard no.
yeah, but you know,
It's
but
a
it
political
could
no.
be an awakened thing. You know, maybe you're feeling like crazy and in you go. You know, I don't know. Maybe your body needs iron. I have no idea, but yeah,
There are
that's
some
it's a
hipsters
tough
Any
one.
out
pitch is a
there
good pitch
who
for that.
I know really enjoy that. And they just go in hands deep.
Are they like so hipster that no offense, but like are they on vegan diets?
They
Oh,
really
this is
need the
really
iron.
pure, you know, like, or
That
I've
protein.
been, that Manuka honey I've been It's just slipping through my body.
So
like,
our joint advice to this to this question is go for the vegan boyfriend.
Who needs a blood transfusion?
And we'll appreciate if you eat some honey for antibacterial purposes. Slide it on through.
That's a whole other topic.
I know, right?
You put honey on top of
honey
yourself?
in the vagina, yeah.
Oh.
Or in general, yeah.
Really?
Edible.
That's the next podcast. That's a good place to leave off the food that we could include to start
all the
spicing this
food.
up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like just incorporate your favorite foods. If you like salt, if you like
Truffle
sweets,
oil.
if you like
Truffle oil.
Exactly.
You get it. Tamara had a little light bulb go off. She's like, I gotta go, girls. I gotta go.
I gotta go grocery shopping.
My man home. I gotta go.
What's in my pantry?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hook this shit up right now.
Foodie. Like, what?
Brilliant.
How to turn on a foodie.
Raw
Brilliant.
food diet.
I'm out.
Okay, everybody. Well, this is it for today. This has been the perfect birthday conversation for me.
We love you.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
Beautiful
Happy
woman.
birthday.
Beautiful woman.
Oh, I love you, and I love you, everybody out there, for sharing your Friday afternoon with us. So thank you for listening, and we will be back next Friday. Until then, speak sex.
You guys all went so healthy, and I just went
You could search.
dirty with chocolate.
You could search. No vegetables.
That was so fun. Can we do this again?
I
With
know,
all the
right?
vegetables?
Yeah, it's so
Super
fun. Yeah.
Super fun.
And a lot of stuff comes out, right?
Yeah.
Look for the wee bit of
Amazing.
tomato.
So honey is an antibacterial, and it's okay if it gets inside of you. then.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
You put it inside. Well, not too deep inside,
Right,
but then you
right.
could get an infection. But like on the lips, I mean, not like in